As the city's most prestigious exam school, Boston Latin is seen as a gateway to opportunity and a barrier. With the transition to new leadership at Boston Latin, the school's racial climate remains under investigation, and the problems with the racial climate have also prompted a look at ways to make the school's enrollment more diverse. Among those working for changes are tonight's guests, the founder of the New Democracy Coalition and a senior fellow at the Center for Collaborative Leadership at UMass Boston, Kevin Peterson, and the president and CEO of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, Darnell Williams. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Chris. Glad to be here again.
I want to start with Kevin. There have been more changes at the school since the last time you and Darnell were talking about this, and more signs of divisiveness too. But I guess now you say let's focus on where we go from here.
Yeah, let's focus on where we go from here. Let's focus on the positive. So much negative has gone on that campus. These are opportunities to look at bringing in excellent leadership in terms of the next headmaster and the next assistant headmaster, and it's also an opportunity to look at the way in which we make decisions around who's enrolled at the school. So finding a new formula around admission. So these are good opportunities that we make out of a bad situation.
Darnell Williams, I guess the question is not so much fault finding as what you want to change, what you want to see done differently at the school. Yeah.
Well, I think Kevin is right. I think that we've spent an enormous amount of video, audio, and print in terms of what was done, when was it done, what did not happen, what are the alumni saying, what are the black and the white alumni saying, et cetera, et cetera. The mayor, Superintendent Chang, everybody's got a narrative that's working for him or her. And we're at a point where in our dialogue, Kevin and I believe, and others, that we need to turn the page. What do we want to see in terms of Boston Latin School going forward? What kind of environment? Because at no point of time did we ever articulate or state or intimate that we wanted to tweak with the academic rigor or with the excellence that Boston Latin is known for. But what we are advocating for is that it needs to be a holistic, embracing culture and environment where people can feel that I'm bringing my whole self to the school and not a guarded self. I'm bringing my academic acumen to the table, but my culture and me, I'm not stepping foot into that because I can get wounded. That's what we're talking about here.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Darnell Williams of the Urban League and Kevin Peterson of the New Democracy Coalition. Kevin, talk about that, because we're hearing what we heard from the Black at BLS movement was that students wanted to feel at home in the school, not the sense that it was an easy ride through Boston Latin, but that they belonged there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the climate that existed up until this June was one where a lot of the students didn't feel like they belonged. So again, it's important to really sort of focus on the positive. There's a paucity of black teachers, African American teachers at the school, a lack of. So those things need to be fixed, and I continue to dialogue with Darnell, and we hope to continue a dialogue with the mayor and those folks who are in charge of making changes, so that just positive things can be wrought.
Darnell, what about the way of getting people to look at changes? Because if you want to do it in a way so that you have credibility, and we just had these allegations of a secret working group or something like that. I mean, is there some way to address this so that you don't have to put up with static?
Well, I think yes, there is. I think the key is that we have to be transparent. We have to be honest, and we need to bring people to the table who have differences of opinion, but are not so extreme in their views that they're not willing to listen and learn what another person has gone through. I think that if the mayor and the superintendent Chang and others who are vested in the prestige of the school and the future of the school were to come together to talk about what's next, acknowledging the things that have been highlighted, and not dwelling on them. We will focus in on the what and not necessarily the who. And then I believe we can move the ball and the meter forward that will give us a better process of admissions, an opportunity to recruit even additional teachers of color. There's something to be said about the symbolism of seeing a teacher that looks like you to understand your cultural nuances. It doesn't mean the other teachers can't sympathize with you, but there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And so I think that that's where we're thinking, our thoughts are that we can create this if we come to the table and be reasonable about our approach.
Kevin, a lot of what's involved here is what happens before a student even takes the exam to an exam school. We're talking about access to advanced work classes or even early education. I mean, there are some moves in that direction, but is that enough?
It's not enough. There has to be, I think there's a ton of work that needs to be done. Boston Latin is a public institution. We should ensure that the diversity of the city is reflected in that school, not only in terms of teachers and leadership, but more importantly, or as importantly, the students. So there needs to be a lot of work that goes on before, as you say, the exam is taken. We need to, I'm no educational expert, but it seems clear to me that there needs to be work done on the elementary level where a kid at the Trotter Elementary School has an equal chance, an equal shot academically, academically in terms of applying to the school itself. So yes, lots of work needs to be done systemically in order for Boston Latin to shine again.
Darnell, what about other possible, we've seen talk about other ideas, maybe let's say that the higher achieving students, at least a certain minimum number from every zip code or something would be part of the mix. Should there be some kind of formulaic element here too? Well,
I think that that's where we're looking at the alternatives, Chris. So rather than just saying that you want to put one alternative on the table, I like that idea that you give high-performing students in every 21 neighborhoods of the city of Boston an opportunity to go to Boston Latin or Latin Academy or John D. O'Brien. Those are the three exam schools, if I'm not mistaken. But Latin is the crown jewel. So having that as an alternative, but I would want us to take a look at a range of options that doesn't necessarily utilize race as the predominant factor, because we know that that has already been proven to be a challenge in the courts. So, but I think if we can create a process which does not modify the testing requirements and open up the door for more students of color to attend Latin, I'm in favor of it. But I don't know what that answer is. That's why I think it becomes an opportunity for us to look at it.
And perhaps we could look at a cap on those students who come from private schools, for example. Many of the Boston Latin students, in fact, come from Catholic schools or elementary schools that are private. Maybe one way of looking at admissions is to perhaps cap the number of students coming from private school. So, but there are many ways to sort of approach this, and in order for there to be more diversity at the school.
Great. Thank you both very much. Kevin Peterson and Darnell Williams.
Thank you, Chris.
We'll have more news in just a moment.